Very pleased to be here. So can I thank the National Press Club for hosting us? Can I thank Maurice for agreeing to the debate? And thanks to all of you, including the members of the Diplomatic Corps who are here and those watching. I first acknowledge the traditional owners of this land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to elders past and present. One of the many reasons, and there are a few, that I hope Australians will elect an Albanese Labor government is to fulfil the promise of the Uluru Statement from the heart. You see, foreign policy starts with who we are. We tell a more powerful and more persuasive story of Australia when we tell our full story, our modern diversity and the rich heritage of our First Nations peoples. It is a story the world is ready to hear. It counters narratives from countries that seek advantage over us. So I am pleased to announce today that if elected, Labor will deliver a First Nations foreign policy that weaves the voices and practices of the world's oldest continuing culture into the way we talk to the world and in the work of the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. We will appoint an ambassador for First Nations peoples, and we will ensure First Nations peoples have a stronger voice in our engagement with the world, deepening their long-held ties across countries of the Indo-Pacific. The Uluru Statement gives us the chance to be a more unified nation, stronger and more resilient at home and in the world. And Australians understand why that matters. Our nation has not known such a vexing convergence of circumstances since the end of World War II. From Mr Putin's illegal and immoral war against the people of Ukraine to a more expansionist and aggressive China in our region, the world has changed. Our region is being reshaped. This generation of political leaders has a responsibility in this reshaping to secure Australia's interests today and in the future. It is our job. We don't have time for more of the same. And more of Mr Morrison means more of the same defence capability failures. More of the same, it's not my job to pick up the phone to the region. More of the same chest beating while letting Australia get beaten to the punch. And we are seeing the consequences of those failures. Just as we saw with the bushfires, with the floods, with vaccines, with rapid antigen tests, now we see in Solomon Islands that Mr Morrison's inaction has made things worse. The fact is, the risks Australians face will be compounded by 3 more years of Scott Morrison. More of the same excuses, the same political buck passing, the same political games ahead of the national interest, whilst our problems just get bigger. And the rest of the world trusts Mr Morrison as little as Australians do. Australians know their Prime Minister's standing in the world is defined by his leaking of private text messages against a close partner. Australians know they're stumping up $5.5 billion for submarines that don't exist. Australians know that veterans issued warning after warning about the need to get people out of Afghanistan well before Kabul fell. And Australians know the world has changed and that China has changed. Australians want a plan to shape a better future for ourselves in the world, and Labor has that plan. We understand that security in the world means we must use all elements of Australian power, strategic, economic, social and diplomatic, to maximise our influence and deliver for our interests. We understand that security in the world means we have to secure our region, playing to our strengths with our Pacific family to address our shared challenges, including climate change, strengthening our relationships in Southeast Asia to uphold the rules of the road, shaping the world for the better, and working with our friends and partners to preserve public goods, give form to our values and solve global problems, making a difference on climate at home and in the world. And I will say this, as someone who has fought for over a decade against people like Barnaby Joyce and Tony Abbott, it is only a federal Labor government that will deliver real action on climate change. We need to bring together all elements of our national power to maximise Australian influence and to deliver for our security and prosperity. As our Chief of Defence has said during this campaign, there is a need for greater integration of power. That is what an Albanese Labor government will deliver. Stronger in the world and more unified at home.